Welcome to Life Mastery Radio with Todd Allen and Jackie Bailey, the show that dives into the science of higher consciousness with inspiring topics such as abundance, intention, health, manifestation, love, and transformation. Join Todd, Jackie, and their guests of leading authors, speakers, coaches, and entrepreneurs weekly at 10 a.m. Pacific. Learn to live a peaceful life with intentional mastery. It's all right here with stories and messages to support your well-being and most evocative dreams. Now, here's your hosts, Todd and Jackie.
Hey, it's another groovy day, and there's a couple of reasons for that. Number one, I don't know if it's number one. I don't know if they have a priority, but it's Life Mastery Radio Day, one of my most favorite days. I get to talk to some really cool people, hang out with a really cool friend of mine, Jackie Bailey. And the other reason is it's a groovy day because many of you know I make it that way. Before my feet hit the ground in the morning, I already decide it's going to be a groovy day. And 9 times out of 10, it turns out to be one of the grooviest. Can you tell my favorite word yet? Something might change, something might happen, something might come my way, but I always think back, hey, I started out groovy. I can turn this around. There's an insider thing that I could do or something different that I could do to make it turn out the grooviest. And that's what I do. And you could do it too. It's just easy. Pick your own word though. You can almost tell what my favorite word is. As always, I have my co-host with me today, good friend, confidant. I don't know. She's just an all-around groovy chick. That's what she is. Hi, Jackie.
Hi. It's a groovy day, that's for sure. Although it's not necessarily my hallmark word, but it's yours.
So what would be your hallmark word?
Delightful.
Delightful.
Or a delightful day.
I remember years ago, I mixed 2 words together. I was really into gratitude and I was really into beautiful. And I thought, wow, if I put those 2 words together, I would have gratitudeful.
Oh, there you go. I
carried that word around with me for a very long time. Those 2 go together if you think about it.
Yeah. Well, we had a foreign exchange student years ago from Japan, and he would describe himself, or the values that he valued most were honesty and kindnesty. Kindnesty.
That's integrity.
Yes.
Right? Wouldn't that be integrity?
I guess.
How are things at the Speak Feed Lead project? You're in the group.
You know, we had a couple of co-hosts last week with me that were summer campers in our programs. We're taking a little bit of a break this week, but we'll be back next week as we're going to be teaching our students how to be keynote speakers. And I got to tell you, as we completed last week's camp and we had the parents come in for the last hour or so of the camp on the last day,
wow.
And our students gave their competition speeches, the parents were amazed is an understatement, but they could not believe that their children were giving those empowering messages. And
you transformed them.
Absolutely. And the kids, yeah, they actually recognized that they had something really awesome that they could say, their own words and their own messages. They just never put the 2 together before to actually form something so inspirational. So
let it flow from their heart, of course.
Yeah. That's what I love about working with kids is you can see the aha moments happening. You can see those moments of epiphany where, their eyes just light up and it's like they get it, you know?
That's very cool. So next up, you're going to instruct them on how to create a keynote.
Absolutely. And those keynote speeches then are going to be part of the upcoming summits that we've been invited to book students on, which is, there's one coming up in September. It's the Holistic and Health Institute Summit.
Wow.
And so we've got 10 of our students that will be speaking on that summit. And we've been working with them to craft those keynote speeches, a 30-minute speech. That's, for many, this will be the first time to give a speech that long. So
and these are pre-teens, teens?
Ages 10 to 20. Yeah.
30 minutes. Man, I can remember my first 30-minute presentation. That was crazy. Wow.
Yeah.
It goes fast though. Once you do it over
Well,
and over
once
and
they
over.
know their message and they're excited about sharing it, it just happens naturally. So we're having fun with that.
And your students are being invited to these summits, but these summits aren't just local. These are worldwide. I mean, you've had,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
we've got some of our students from Nigeria, students from Thailand, students from Canada. They're all being part of this summit. And, that's part of the magic for them is getting to share their message is one exciting aspect to it. But the other half is that they get to see that they're sharing the stage with other professional speakers, people who have books, people who have programs, people who've spoken on stages, hundreds of times. And now they're in the same company with them. And it's very confident building for our students to be able to feel like they're just as important as these other speakers.
yeah, all kids have it. So if you have a young adult out there and you think this would be interesting, you can check out Jackie's program at speakfeedlead.org. She has a Facebook page. There are many avenues. Her name's right down there. Google it and she will pop up, I guarantee it.
I'm everywhere.
Alrighty then, I want to remind our listeners that today's show page is at www.lifemasteryradio.net or .com, whichever one you prefer. And any links that we talk about, we have a link there for our guest today, and there's the link there for my book, and of course Jackie's book. My book, 6 Keys to Life Mastery. Jackie's book is right in the background back there, Self-Centered Leadership. And she has a little note in Heart Note,
Yep.
where she wrote John letter to Lack. Bye-bye. What did you say?
I said it's a compilation book I was blessed to be a part of, and working on another compilation book that I'm a part of as well. This one is for parents and their children. So excited about that one.
More news at 11. We'll keep you informed on that one. I think she's got a group of kids that are writing their, I'm getting a message that I've become unstable. Am I okay, Jackie?
You're a little glitchy now and then. Yeah.
And while you're on the webpage, sign up for the newsletter. Oh, I'm glitching out. Am I okay now?
You're kind of coming and going.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead, sign up for our newsletter. Jackie creates a newsletter once a week, and it highlights who's been on the show, who's coming on the show, and a blog post about the show we just did. And it is truly amazing. Okay, on with the show. I hope I don't blurp out too much, but our guest today is Marcela Benson. And Marcela is the author of Love, Peace, and Vegetables, Recipe for Conscious Living. You can see a copy of the book right there with her. It's a big book. That's like a coffee table book. And it is an amazing book. This book is her magnus opus, and it holds more than 18 years of research in the field of body, mind, spirit, and vegan nutrition. I must say, Marcela, I have 2 daughters who are vegans, and it is very interesting, especially around family gatherings. She brings this knowledge together as an exquisitely designed book that includes lifestyle advice, inspiration, affirmations, tips, menus, and over 150 live food vegan recipes. She has some original art and color pictures. Marcela teaches us how to structure water, our kitchen, for holistic health and the power behind these upgrades. These are upgrades. The book is an inspiration that will guide the reader to create delicious, healthy, and balanced meals that can heal us and change our lives for the better. Her book is a celebration of compassion, love, and peace. Marcela is a passionate poet, mystic, and alchemist in the kitchen. She is the mother of 2 amazing grown-ups and a spiritual mother to many of her students. With more than 22 years in professional practice, Students praise her passion, devotion, and encyclopedic knowledge. And I can tell you, she was amazing. In our pre-show, she boom, boom, boom. I know exactly what you're talking about. As well as her willingness to teach from her own life experiences. And again, her book is right there, Love, Peace, and Vegetables, Recipes for Conscious Living. Good day, Marcela. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing amazing. How about
there's a
you?
cool
Good
word.
day.
Is that an amazing groovy way?
Absolutely.
So tell us a little bit of your story. I mean, you have an amazing story. You've been through so much, and you decided to be vegan at a very young age.
Yes. My journey started at 15 in the yogic path, learning how to be a vegetarian first. So, and meditating and being vegetarian, because back in the days when I grew up in Argentina, there was very little people teaching yoga, and there was one teacher who's been, the change maker all over America, not only in South America, but in North America, Central America, and South America, who was Indra Devi Matashi, who was my first teacher. She passed away at the age of 106.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and she came to United States and North America, and then she went to, of course, she was in Canada too, and all the way down to South America, and she set her home and her yoga place in Buenos Aires. And this is where, back in the days, Hatha yoga, which is the asana, that's just one pose and you hold it for 5 minutes. And in these 5 minutes, you're able to watch your brain and watch your body and watch your spirit come through. And this was the first yoga I was introduced. And the second arm of yoga was nutrition is part of yoga, which is in the Vedic traditions, vegetarian and vegan and wild food. Yes. So,
oh, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
So that was my introduction to veganism. And for me, that was to vegetarianism. For me, that was perfect. I was like, yeah, of course, we come here not to do harm. Ahimsa. I like this. And that was, that besides other things were my first step into vegetarianism. And for me, it just made sense. And it really did change my life. Even though I didn't have the knowledge I had now, it was definitely an upgrade than my meat eating diet, my Argentinian eating diet, which was, everyday meat. That's cheese in the morning, meat, and meat at night. You have 2 different meats through the days, and a whole lot of dairy and cheese.
And so I'm just really curious, in those early stages, this seemed to you like a natural choice, or was there a reason consciously that you were thinking about that this is a lifestyle for me? This makes better sense than the norm.
Well, I've never, when I was exposed to this, and I was exposed to the idea you're eating dead animals, for me, that it made sense. I'm like, oh, that's horrible. I just thought that it was horrific, that was like, I don't need no convincing. I mean, it just made sense. I was 15 and it still makes sense today, but my heart, I guess, with a 15-year-old was much more, much more like, yeah, black and white thing. Yeah, that's the animal went through whatever, and you're eating a carcasses. And yes, that was basically it. There was no thinking about it. There was no knowledge. There was no wisdom. There was no education. Nothing.
Right. Yeah, I
So
think.
at 15, I was going to say, at 15, how did you sort of take charge of your diet? Because I'm assuming your mother was perhaps making food for the family, and now all of a sudden you're saying, I don't want any more meat. Is that how it went down? And were your parents supportive of this change?
Well, I made my own food already at 15. I
Okay.
would go home and I'm like, I'm not eating that, I'm eating this. And I would make my own food. I never thought twice of not making my own food. And you see, my parents never said, what are you doing?
Mm.
They never made a difference with me. And I never made a difference with them in terms. I never sat on the table and said, ugh, disgusting, you know? I never did that either. I just thought, okay, that's their normal and this is my normal and it's all good. We love each other. And I just, there was not that I see when I consult students that I see in many families. I was very, very lucky. And I think my parents, we were 4, everybody was busy. We were 4, 1 year apart. And there's just, either there was no time to reprimand or to, there was bigger things than food. And my mom also came from the war. My father also from Syria and from Israel. So food, there was not a place to discuss. There was not, food was a blessing, whatever shape and form you get it. So I think that was kind of like the difference, because right now people don't see food as blessings.
Interesting. And were you obese at one time? Is this what?
Yes.
The decision?
Yes. My father was obese, and I suffered with extra weight and obesity for many years. Today, I also struggle to keep my weight down. I have to really focus. I'm like, okay, I'm not doing that. Even with healthy food, because you see, eating healthy doesn't mean, and eating vegan doesn't mean it's going to be healthy. And eating healthy doesn't mean you're going to instantly be thin.
Right.
Because then you have quantity, and then you have emotional, and then you have a spiritual path, and then you have also, exercise. You have many, many components to being healthy and balanced. And you see, and people have the misconception, if you eat healthy, you should be instantly thin.
That's a good point.
Some cause inflammation too, which can add to your appearance and make you look heavier than you actually are if you're eating foods that cause inflammation, correct?
Absolutely. Excess food, even it might be healthy, can cause inflammation. Bad food, even if you're very thin, you can be inflamed or full of wrinkles. Yes, because you see, inflammation comes in many forms, and it could be if you're dehydrated, you see, so all of these things play part of how youthful you look or how youthful you feel. You see, my experience, I'll tell you a little something. I was 3 weeks to visit my sister and my daughter, who just graduated. My youngest graduated from being with neuroscience and philosophy, and now she's going to follow the path of naturopathic medicine.
Wow.
Yes, and so we went.
Like daughter.
Yes. Yes. And so we went into these 3 weeks vacations to California and to see my sister and my other niece, my other family. And for 3 weeks, even though we ate vegan, because my sister is vegan, my mom is vegan, my children are vegan, I mean, we're a whole vegan, but we ate in restaurants, and vegan restaurants, delicious places, but just to eat there, that, oh gosh, they have this fried food, which I never eat, but I did eat in this trip. I came back inflamed. I came back inflamed, and it was very hard. And I said, my goodness, when you experience real health, the upgrade of your body, really, excess food and even food that is not made with the right oils, your body reads it right away and tells you, no, please don't, don't poison me.
Interesting.
Yes.
So I'm really curious about your influence on your siblings and your mother. So you became an avid vegan, and did you influence them to switch, or did it happen naturally, or how did that all work out?
Well, they all got sick at a certain point. You know, my mom was about my age now, in her 50s. And she got sick. She had high cholesterol. Her sugar was not well. She wasn't sleeping well. She was passing through the whole menopausal thing. And my sister also, she was living a great life, but she wasn't feeling well. And of course, they will not follow me because, mind you, my education was in Arizona with Dr. Gabriel Cousins, who is top-notch holistic doctor and spiritual teacher. And to be at that level of life food, to be at that level of living, which is really a holistic level of living, an enlightened way of living, it's a very long stretch for most. Okay, it's a very long stretch because we have strived so far out. But when my mom was sick, I said, Ma, please come to my school. We're going to help you. We're going to heal you. And she was married at that time with a doctor who already passed, and a wonderful cardiologist and a wonderful man who did not understand what I was doing, who thought it was a little bit cuckoo, a little bit crazy. And, you know, it's understandable. It sounds a little bit cuckoo, a little bit crazy, you know, that just putting your foot in the ground might make you alkaline. That just putting your foot on the ground might discharge all of the collected energies from the cell towers, from your telephone, from your computer. You know, it's like, whoever taught us this, that we are electrical beings, you know? So it's understandable that we're going to sound cuckoo. It's understandable until you learn about your body, until you learn that you're not the skin on your bones or the muscles on your bones, that behind that there is something that enlivens all of these, which is the life force of the universe that passes through us. But before we understand this and can speak with such a belief, you have to learn it for yourself from the inside out, right? So my mom got so sick, and finally I convinced her. And then through many years, basically the first month, she got such a detox, and she tried it for her own. And she says, Marcela, you know, I left Israel when I was 4 years old to Rome, and then from Rome to Argentina. And then, you know, and I said, now that my mom is in her mid 70s, and she's like, I feel better that I felt. And she remembers when I was 3 years old. And basically, she just came from New York, walking, because I have a niece in New York, walking. She's like, Marce, I walk 40 blocks to Fifth Avenue, 40 blocks back, and I ate terrible. She says, not out of vegan, but she says, I think I didn't gain any weight because I walked so much.
Good for her.
That's
you know.
amazing.
Yeah.
So that's really what happened. I didn't, yes, at one point when I learned all of these and when I became an avid student, which I still am, I was very excited to overteach. Yes. But then I learned that there is no need. Whoever is ready, it's going to come, and there is no need to overteach. But with my mom and my sister, I did push them a little bit, and but they came to their own because they weren't feeling well.
Yeah.
And when they realized, and when they changed their lives and they started to feel better, you know, there's really not going back. When you feel well, it's like, I want to be there.
Yeah.
I want to be there. I want to have this clear. I want to have my inspiration coming through me. You know, you want to be there. You want to be in your body, not out of your body. You want to be enjoying your dance and your exercise and your children and your friends and laughing from your heart, not just existing. And yes, a good nutrition, working on your emotions, working out, it's all part of a holistic beingness in this world.
Well, I know that you already would say that you endorse yoga, and I'm assuming that you still do yoga. Are there other types of physical activity that is good for our body? I mean, because we hear a lot of weightlifting, we hear of anaerobic exercises. what do you think would be the best? And does it depend on different stages of life and different ages that we're on?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like, for example, now that I'm in my 50s, I'm doing a special exercise, which is lifting weights, because I want to keep my bone mass at its peak. And so now for the rest of my life, I have to make sure my bones are strong, and they are definitely strong. And I did that. I did a densitometry, and everything looks fine. But still, I said, you know what? I'm still going to do something for my bones, because that's in the beginning of my crystalline structure. That's what I call it.
Crystalline structure. Okay.
Yes, yes. Our bones are crystals.
Okay.
You know, our teeth are crystals. They're called hydroapatite. And definitely any type of exercise, depending on your age and depending on what you like, you know, you should do. Dance, I always recommend just include some sacred dance in your life, whatever you like. If you like swing, if you like the American dance, if you like folk, if you like belly dance, if you like dance.
She
dance
didn't
at
say
home.
rock and roll, rock and roll, rock and roll.
Yeah, whatever you like, but
Move around, I think is what you
move.
said.
We need to use the whole body.
Right.
If I
Right.
tell you my favorite right now is gyrotonics.
Say that again.
That's my favorite. It's called gyrotonics or gyrokinesis.
Gyrotonics.
Explain, please.
Yeah.
Well, it is a whole way of moving your body and focusing, okay, in which you are using all of the angles of your body. So everything is you're twirling and you're moving pieces of an equipment that adds weight, tension. So it adds everything. It adds the weight, and it adds the tension, and it adds the contraction, and it adds the extension. And if you're not highly focused on it, you cannot do it. So I like it because it activates the brain, it activates the muscles, it activates the stretch, it activates the strength, all at the same time, which is, I think, all of that we should be doing, activating all of that.
Sounds to me like a mixture of maybe martial arts and aerobics or something along where you're actually using some resistance training. Sounds cool.
Yes, it's a pulley system. It's kind of like Pilates. Most of you are probably familiar with Pilates, right? But
Yes.
Pilates is very directional. It's straight, maybe one angle, maybe the other. But this machine moves in all the angles, and the type of exercises is for all the angles.
Wow, very cool.
So you have to be coordinated, right?
Or you get there, which is very good for your brain, because you make new you make new neural connections, which is very important to keep that up as we grow older.
Yeah, I'm kind of klutzy, so it makes me worry a little bit.
Well, then you start with Pilates, you see. So so Pilates is a very good way, because that shows you coordination, moving your knees, and it's more straightforward. And once you master that, maybe you want to go a notch higher.
Yeah, interesting.
Fascinating. Well, let's get back into your book. It has many sections. It has some beautiful photographs and some illustrations, some of your poetry. But it starts out with an important aspect, and this is something I learned, and that's hydration. I can remember many years ago and finding myself thinking, what's wrong? My thoughts aren't clear, you know, and things aren't working right, and I wasn't drinking enough water. And now I instantly know when I'm not hydrated, because it gets a little cloudy and fuzzy and things don't quite work right. And I had a guest on the show many years ago, and she made this statement. She said, 80% of our health problems in the United States could be cured if people stayed hydrated. Do you agree with that? Is that something that can be stated?
Yes. I'm not quite sure if 80%,
Yeah,
but a lot. But a lot, yes. Hydration, that's why my first chapter before starting with hydration, I start with love, self-love, and love for the world. But my first nutrition starts with water, because water is not just water. It's a fundamental element you need to put into your body, because your brain does shrink when you're dehydrated, and you might not feel it with the taste. You know, we might not feel like, oh, I'm never thirsty. I'm never thirsty. So how do you know that you're well hydrated? When you go between 1.5 hours to 1 and 2 hours to the bathroom, then you know you're hydrated. Most of us don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't do that. And then how do we know if our cells of the body are keeping, is the blood pressure good enough that the water is penetrating the cells? Did you know that most of our body is salty? The water in our body is salty, and inside the cell, the water is fresh. There is no salt inside.
Okay.
Yes. Kind of like the world, we have the oceans, which is the vast majority is salty, and then we have the rivers and the lakes, which is fresh. And how the inside of the cell or the inside of a river or a lake, if it doesn't have the correct flow of energy, gets algae and gets bad and gets dried. It's the same thing with our bodies.
Interesting. Well, I know recently there's been a little controversy over the bottled waters not containing some of the minerals and things that our body needs. So how do you feel about bottled water versus tap water versus spring water? Are there better kinds of water to drink?
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is one of the things I educate a lot about, because you need to know what does your water have in what's the quality of water. Are you drinking water in plastic all the time? Okay. And mind you that when I speak, I give a lot of different things, and it might be overwhelming for some people. And take one thing and do that. I've been doing this for 22 years now. Okay. So I've been building on my repertoire, and I've been building on my health for 22 years. So, and I still have to build more, but just take it, everything that I say, take it with a grain of salt, and slowly, if you're drinking water in plastic, just change that. That's all. Glass bottles. Okay. No more plastic bottles. Oh, what am I going to do? Am I going to buy in the store? Next you have to figure out next. So one thing leads you to another.
Right.
Okay. So basically for me, spring water, that's top, but spring water, not from a bottle, spring water at the source.
Right.
For example, I live in Miami. There is no spring water at the source here. There just isn't. I think there is one place in Brickell actually, but then, which is about 40 minutes from where I am. And it's a sacred place taken care by Native Americans, and seems to be like a sacred place there in the middle of the city, which is unbelievable. But anyway, I always say, if you have a chance, maybe a weekend, find out where the springs are. Go taste water from a spring. Put your hair in spring water. Your hair is completely different. Just if you put it underneath spring water, go experience spring water at its source.
Yeah.
Right. So then okay, this is spring water. You put it in your water, it's light water. All of a sudden you feel like you're being hydrated from the tissues of your mouth. All of a sudden, when you swallow it, you feel like it goes everywhere. What is that phenomenon? And I think to know about water, you have to, at one point in your life, taste a live spring water from the source. Second, which is what I have to do here at my house, right? So here at my house, I have 2 devices that I use, okay? Because I am in the city, I live here, this is where my life is. So basically, I have two different components that I do. One is the still water. The still water, that's the process of kind of evaporation, rain, filter through carbon, through earth. And this is a very good system, but once you get this water, it's completely dead. You know, it's made by a machine from tap water, and then when you see what's left in your distiller, you say, I never ever drink tap water again. ever. When you smell what's left in your distiller, you believe me, you'll never ever want to drink. And then you're gonna say, oh, maybe I want to buy a filter for my shower. So believe me, once you start pulling at the string of health, one thing will take you to another.
Yeah.
At the time that you are ready to change them, because you can only make that decision for yourself. So, you know, take a deep breath. I know this is a lot of information about water.
We're just planting seeds, but I'm really curious about the second device that you have.
My second device is, mind you that my distilled water, I put minerals on it and I measure to see how much minerals I have, ionic minerals, and then I also program the water. I have a device with sound that makes the water lighter. I put oxygen in my water. So that's the whole process of the distill. And because that's a lot of process that I find that now I'm not sure I want to do it all the time, I have another system that I like very much. And my other system is a reverse osmosis that doesn't have, that is a tankless reverse osmosis and a hydrogen machine. So my water goes from reverse osmosis, leaves a little bit of minerals from the tap water, about less than 50 total dissolved solids. And then it goes into the hydrogen machine and it makes the water absolutely delicious and hydrating. And this is now one of my favorite ways of drinking water. Like today I had a activated charcoal lemonade with hydrogen water. And it was so good. It was so delicious, so light.
Wow. Well, that's one thing that I heard you talk about on somebody else's podcast, is you talked about hydration. And I totally get the importance of that. And now you really got me curious. But you also mentioned the fact that our body has to have the ability to absorb that water. So what are some of the things? Because I'll notice that I'll drink a lot of water, but it seems like it just goes right through me. Now, am I hydrated or is my body not absorbing it?
Sometimes your body is not absorbing. You know, of course, each person has to be looked at, you know,
differently. Yeah.
Differently, because yes, I can tell you, one of the things that has helped me, and it's salt, but pure, without alterations, not cooked, not mined with dynamite, hand. Yes, you see. So and very good salt, and salt happens to do that for you. Take the water inside of your cells and retain the water inside your cells, so you do feel hydrated.
So you say salt. What about sea salt? Is sea salt a good salt?
I'm not a whole lot of fan of sea salt right now, because we're having a problem with nanoplastics on the sea.
Yeah.
And there is certain sea salts that I will still have, and but you don't know the nanoplastics. You know, and some people are testing now their salts for that. So you might find a very good sea salt still.
Fascinating. Thanks. There's so much to think about, Marcela. There's, I mean, here we're ingesting something and it's like, well, wait a second now, what's inside this?
Yes. And really, that's all about living a conscious life, you know, and having a conscious humanity takes a lot of thinking, takes a lot of consciousness and awareness of how we live our lives, how we speak, how we clean our homes, how we take care of our garbage, you see, and all of these things that are not thought thoroughly before we implement systems changes the lives of humanity. So as we all take responsibility and know that this is your right, is to learn, to have this knowledge, and then act upon whatever is moving you to do more or less. Yeah. It's important, you know, that's what I teach. You are the one, nobody else. You are the one who's changing the world. You start in your inner world, and as you walk, you give a good message.
Do you grow a lot of your own food, and if not, where do you shop where you find the best foods that you like?
Yes, I grow, you see, in Florida, in Miami specifically, we have a season. Our season is starting now in September, the end of September, of growing and vegetables and all the greens. And I have my little garden, which I'm extending this year. So I'm so thrilled. I yesterday was speaking with my gardener guru. But yes, what I do is I contact my local farmers markets. Here in Miami, we have different seasons. For the greens, starts in September. Then we have the tropicals, okay? And of course, all the stone fruit comes from California, yes? And maybe the middle of the country in Virginia, you know, we have, you know, the apples and all of these. I mean, in the United States, we have amazing crops and really super phenomenal farmers, which we should support by buying from them.
Yeah, totally.
And yeah, in the world, I mean, not only in the United States, because I have taught all around the world, and on the world, there is phenomenal people who understand that they are holding a special place for humanity in the garden.
Yeah.
You know, so I buy whenever is possible, and most of the time I buy my CSA from my local farmers. I buy from my fruits also. They deliver them home, and whenever I don't have time or I need something extra that I don't have, I go to my local organic markets. Then there is few, because some of the markets now, some of the they have organic, and sometimes I have to go and run and get something organic in the regular supermarket.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So you have an amazing book, and we're not going to get to talk about the entire book. This has been such an interesting discussion. What is one of your favorite, let's see, what do I want to ask? What are some of your favorite foods that are listed in the book? Because you have some recipes, right? These recipes are simple and easy to do.
I have from simple, which I have a lot of simple recipes, because really live food and vegan, it is about simplicity. It is about the quality of the food you eat. It makes the taste. Okay, so remember, quality, if you have a bad quality apple and a good quality apple, it's miles away of taste.
Right.
Okay, and this is with all the fruits and vegetables. If you buy bad quality fruits and vegetables, they're gonna rot in your refrigerator because they're not tasty, they're bad.
Right.
Yes, so everything starts with good quality fruits and vegetables. And I have a lot of very, 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 very easy foods and a lot of tips. And then I do have some masterful recipes, which are for those who are avid cooks. And but those are the least of the recipes. Okay, and remember, if you've never cooked for yourself, you have to be patient. It takes time until you can be fast. It takes time until you realize, okay, the things in the refrigerator needs to be like that, and that has to be like that. So when I get home, it doesn't take me more than 30, 40 minutes to make my meal, which it shouldn't. But to get there, it takes time.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, at least 3 months. Give yourself 3 months of, they say, oh, wow, I have to spend an hour or two until you everything comes into place. You know, maybe you wash your vegetables Mondays and Wednesdays and Fridays. And maybe you cook twice a week for all the rest of the days. You see? So you do have to have some kind of order. Order makes things easier.
Yeah.
Okay. And in my book, I have recipes like one of my favorite chapters, believe it or not, is it's called Condiments, Sauces, and Other Pleasures. Why?
Yeah.
Because everything with a condiment, and how I think about a recipe is not just making it delicious, but for me, how I think about each recipe is making it highly nutritious. So you get a little teaspoon of, for example, my seaweed tartare, and you got full of minerals. Yes, besides being absolutely delicious, you get a tablespoon of my chimichurri sauce, and you're getting oregano, and you're getting thyme, and you're getting paprika, and you're getting all of these, which is antiparasitic.
She's making me hungry.
Yeah. You know, or you serve yourself a high protein sauce because you're going to work out and you want to have that protein to build more muscle and to, you know, to have that, you know, because protein varies from person to person. And plant protein is so much more powerful and bioavailable to you than any other animal sourced protein, you know, that you need much less. And you will realize that you will get to that knowledge with your own body as you start building up on that.
Right.
Well, that's something that you have to pay particular attention to, right, Marcela, is balance. You talked a little bit about balance earlier, but there are certain things that we have to, as a vegan, I know this because of my daughters, that they have to make sure that they eat. There has to be some protein and other things. So maybe expound on that just a little bit on that balance.
Yes, for each person, the balance is different. And for each year, for whatever age you are, for whatever type of work you do. Are you doing mental work? Is your work physical? Are you a fast oxidizer or a slow oxidizer? What does that mean? Being a fast oxidizer, which most of 70-something% of humanity means that your body is going to burn, okay? You're going to need more protein because your body is going to burn a little bit faster, everything to make energy. Okay, so you're going to need a little bit more protein. If you're a slow oxidizer, you're going to lead with less protein, you're going to be fine. You know, there is those people that eat fruit in the morning and they say, wow, I ate fruit and I have all this energy to work out, right? And they don't fall down on a peak. Those are usually the slow oxidizer. The people that eat an apple in the morning like me, and then at 2 hours, I'm famished. I need food. Don't send me to work out with an apple. It just doesn't work for me. I would need my chia seeds. I would need my hemp seeds, you see, because I'm a fast oxidizer. So I need in the morning to have a certain amount of protein for me to have a day without hunger, a day that I'm not famished, see? And this is very, very, very important, but it changes from person to person because—
And age, I would imagine, right?
Absolutely. Age. I noticed that now I need less protein than I needed back then.
Yeah, I have found that too. I used to eat protein at every meal, but I have come to find out that maybe a couple times a week I can have protein, and I'm fine with that. In fact, I feel better that way. I was going to ask you about this gluten-free craze. Do you find that gluten is the bad guy that it has been defamed to be? or is it something that is still healthy for us in our diets? What's your thought?
Well, you see, the gluten conundrum, that's what I call it. And yes, there is a problem for many people, but it's not because of the gluten, it's because our wheat has been hybridized so much that now contains the percentage of gluten has grown so much that our bodies are not designed for this. Our bodies are not designed to, you see, many years ago, about, I don't know, maybe 17 years ago, I went to England. And I went to England to learn from somebody who grows ancient grains. And she was showing me how these ancient grains you had to pick by hand, because if not, that all the grains and all the wheat, the real wheat, grows at different heights. And she showed me, look, and now everything is cultivated at the same time. So they put hormones, they put anything they need to put on it. So it grows all at the same time. And then you have the machines to pick, you see, and all of this is the difference between the gluten and the amount of grain that we need and the one that is toxic for ourselves, you see. So that's one of the first things that is going on. Yes, and some people are, my daughter, for example, is extremely allergic and reactive to gluten. Some people are not reactive to gluten, you see, but that they're not reactive with their colon and not feeling good, it doesn't mean that they might not be allergic to it. Sometimes it creates mental issues. You see, so it's very interesting. So when you're cleaning emotions, also clean your diet from wheat and things, and for example, my body can withstand kamut. Kamut is an ancient grain and also has gluten, but it's very little. And this my body can take very well. Can my daughter take it very well? She doesn't still, because she has grown already in a world where the hybridized wheat is being on everything and is toxic to her.
Wow.
Oh my goodness, ladies, we only have about 4 minutes left. This just flew. Marcela, I hope you will come back, because there is so much more to talk about, and you are a fascinating lady. Oh my gosh, you have so much knowledge to share with people. Is there one last message that you would like to give our listeners today that might help them explore this different way of consuming food?
Absolutely. Whatever you explore, whatever changes you make, come from a place of self-love. Forgive yourself for whatever you have done to hurt yourself, and come into a place of self-love and watch your thoughts. Watch what you're saying to yourself when you look at yourself in the mirror. Watch what you're saying to yourself when you're eating. All of these, all of your thoughts and the negativity that you might carry within yourself is changing you not for the better. So as you start saying and loving yourself and blessing your food and looking to yourself at the mirror with love and not disgust or no, I have to make myself somehow better. This is another form of nutrition, and this is the spiritual, the emotional nutrition that our bodies need in order to make changes.
Especially blessing your food, right, Marcela?
Yes.
Isn't that very, I mean, before you consume it, you bless it, and that actually prepares your body to process it.
Definitely. And it gives a little bit of time for your mouth to create the saliva where the enzymes are in order to start the first type of digestion, which is in your mouth.
Wow. Never thought of that.
So by your thoughts and your blessing, your body knows that you're going to eat. So your body, it's already talking to the saliva to come to your mouth that we're getting ready to eat some amazing blessed food.
Interesting.
Isn't that a miracle all on its own, that we can call up a blessing and we can call our body into cooperating with us?
Oh my gosh, this was such an interesting show. Thank you so much, Marcela, for showing up as you today. And I hope you'll come back, because there is so much more to talk about. Jackie, any quick takeaways? We got about a minute.
Yeah, I just appreciate it, Marcela. I have had challenges with diet over the last 10 years of my life, and I've restricted myself in a lot of ways, and I need to be more grateful for the foods that I do eat and can eat. So I appreciate you today.
That's about all we have time for today. I hope you enjoyed the show, and I hope you'll tell a friend about the show. What a cool show. these two, Todd and Jackie, just have a blast, and they have some really cool guests. Relay that to your friend. Lastly, check out Marcela's book. It's a really cool book. You can find it on Amazon. And please, 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 please make it a great day, because it is all about choice. Bye-bye for now.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you for tuning in to Life Mastery Radio. Join Todd Allen and Jackie Bailey and their guests of leading authors, speakers, coaches, and entrepreneurs weekly at 10 a.m. Pacific. Learn to live a peaceful life with intentional mastery through stories and messages to support your well-being and most evocative dreams. Visit their website, www.lifemasteryradio.com. Join their mailing list and be notified about upcoming guests. That's lifemasteryradio.com.